You are listening to a reproduction of Uncle Sam's Farm Radio School from the United States Department of Agriculture in 1926. Disclaimer: do not assume content reflects current scientific knowledge, policies, or practices. This broadcast was aired 4th of October 1926.
Tonight, we are opening Uncle Sam's Big Livestock Radio School. Students who are already enrolled and others who wish to join the class will give us their attention. Printed lessons are sent without charge to those who request enrollment blanks. Send your request to this station or to the radio service of the U.S. Department of Agriculture. We are now going to introduce Mr. Professor, our spokesman for a number of experts on livestock in the Bureau of Animal Industry of the Department of Agriculture. He will talk on selecting suitable breeds and types of livestock for the farm. This is the first of the regular Monday evening lessons on farm livestock.
Stand on this hill with me for a minute and look out over the country. We can see most of my farm from here and a lot of the neighbors' farms. Over there is Doe's place. Does he raise bananas? He does not. Does Eb over there keep a fine flock of camels? I don't reckon so. Has Cy found that he can make money on that good farm of his raising polar bears? Well, if he has, he is keeping it quiet. All these neighbors of mine are in the business of farming and livestock raising. All of them raise about the same kind of stock because they have found that a certain kinds and combinations of stock pay in this country. Now let me tell you a short story about the days when I started in this business. When I was younger, I wanted to be different. So when I started this farm 20 years ago, I kept a certain kind of hogs that were different. I sent for good breeding stock to start with. At the end of the first year, there was a fair number of these hogs running about the place. I fed them up, and they grew pretty well. I would go out and look them over with a lot of pride. I'd count the dollars they were going to bring me someday. My neighbors raised good, lard-type hogs, big type, they were, that dressed out to big firm carcasses hogs that fattened well and could be put on the market early. These neighbors' pigs gained market weight in from 7 to 10 months. Our market wanted hogs weighing from 175 to 225 pounds. They produced heavy first-class hams and bacon. I thought my hogs should do the same, but they wouldn't. They were the long, lean, bacon hog type, fine for the markets that want that kind. I wanted to put them on the market when the other men did, but I couldn't, unless I forced them. So that's what I did. Fed them as long and as heavily as I could to make them kill out as heavy as my neighbors' pigs. All I got were hams and bacon with more fat than our market wanted, and a high feed bill. So I decided to get rid of these different pigs and put myself in line with the rest of the farmers in my community. They had been in the business longer than I had, and they knew the market better. They told me it doesn't pay to plant your fields to sunflowers when the market wants wheat. There isn't really any best breed of hogs. There isn't any best breed of any kind of livestock. Some breeds are better than others for certain conditions. When two breeds are equally good for the same purposes and conditions, then you can choose the kind that happens to appeal to you most. See Cy Miller's place over there? The one with the big red barn. Cy knows the thing that counts in dairying is to raise high-producing cows. And he knows that's about all that counts. He tells me that by increasing the feed he is giving his cows, and then checking on their milk records, he has found that some of his cows respond to this better treatment and pay higher profits on the increased allowance of feed they get. In other words, Cy has found that there's a certain point when dairy cows are most profitable. The breed doesn't matter much here. What matters is type and quality of the cows themselves. Cy has studied his records and his cows. He is raising the best producers he can. Cy is getting a fancy price for his milk. He has a good bank account. We are trying to do what Cy is doing with his dairy cows. Another thing you'll notice, the most successful cattle feeders in this part of the country have studied the feeding question and are raising lots of hay, silage, and other cheap feeds. They are feeding it to their cattle and getting high returns. We have plenty of grass here, so we are raising cattle that are good feeders on grass, and corn, which is another feed we can raise here at low cost. Out on the ranges where feed is not so plentiful, and where the cattle have to go farther to get it, they tell me the stock raisers keep rangy, hardy rustlers that can roam over the hills and mountains without losing flesh. If a stock owner wants cattle that are good for beef and also milk pretty well, he can get dual-purpose cattle. Does it pay to keep purebred or high-grade stock? I think it does. When you find that a certain kind of livestock puts you out of the red and gives you a good bank account, you want to be sure you will have that kind always. Like breeds like. You'll want purebred or high-grade stock if you're wise. Don't trust to luck. Luck hasn't much to do with profits in farming. You can't take any kind of stock and trust to luck and good weather to give you the profits and good living you should get out of farming. These neighbors of mine know they can't afford to raise anything but the best, so they all have good quality stock. Have you ever seen farms that looked more prosperous than these around here? You can see lots of money from this hill. Eb's barn over there is chock full of hay and grain. His silo's full, and he's building another, and Ed has the stock to feed all that too. The subject of the next lesson is essentials of successful feeding, so I'll stop now and we'll return to it when the sun rises again. Remember to write for enrollment cards so that we can send you more complete information by mail. See you again soon.
This show was researched and produced by BreakAway Empire LLC.